The person I chose to talk about today is a youth that I work with. He was the very first youth that I was assigned to in this role that I currently am working at. His diagnosis I didn't know very much about. It is disinhibited social engagement disorder. And so from what I've learned, I'm just going to describe what I think it's like for him. So he really, from his perspective, wants to connect with people. He has that deep desire, but it's really challenging for him. And so connections feel really unsafe. He has a lot of past trauma, neglect, and abuse when he was younger until the age of 4 or 5, until he was adopted. So some social and emotional development that was hindered, which results in difficulty in understanding social appropriateness. Relationships feel really unsafe, although he really desires them. So I can imagine that from his perspective, it's really challenging to understand what's happening in social settings. It's difficult to understand body language amongst other people around him, and something that may come off safe to us seems really threatening to him, versus something like eye contact that feels very unsafe and threatening. So I can imagine from his perspective, it's really overwhelming to be in social settings. He has difficulty understanding what's expected of him and how what he's doing isn't correct. People perceive him often, he feels very judged and blamed. People often describe him as being childish or immature. A lot of times he gets described as manipulative. But from his perspective, it makes sense that he does have needs, and when he was younger, they weren't met. And so he does have to do things to meet his needs, where he may not realize that they can be met in other ways. And so from his perspective, I can see why it would make sense for him to do things to receive attention or get his needs met. He often describes feeling very lonely and worthless because people often don't understand him or give up on him easily. And so I think if I were him, I would really just desire for people to be patient and really stick it out for the long haul, and really develop trust with me, because once he develops trust with you, it's a really solid, great relationship, and he cares a lot about that person. It just takes a while for him to feel safe in those relationships.